Howdy y'all. So today I'm a little under the weather, as you could tell by the tone of my voice, but I figured this is a very important thing to go over as far as clarity on your windshield and what you should be looking for before purchasing your windshield wipers for the season. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna go over the differences between A and B, sizes, brands, what you should look for in a brand, and also the price point you're gonna pay when deciding the brands you're gonna choose from and their models that they offer, and whether or not you should pay the extra money for those types of brands, and also why I have two different sizes for each one of the vehicles. So we're going to cover all that in today's video, a little briefing on everything, so that way you get clear vision and the best coverage possible. So let's get into it. And also we're gonna, we're gonna also talk about the style of wiper there's two different styles, and we're gonna go over that as well, so that way you kind of know what to look for before buying these and figuring out that they don't work on your car. Okay, so keeping all that in mind, that's what we're going to go over today. So let's get into it. Purchasing your windshield wipers, the first thing you want to do is figure out the size you're going to need. Okay, so AutoZone, Kragen, all those places have a chart and what you should buy, right? Okay, but most of them, for the older vehicles, they just give you a generic number. Like for instance, my Chevy truck, it's a 90, and what they recommend are 218s. Okay, over here we have the 97, same exact setup, except it has the newer arm, and that one requires a 19-inch blade. Okay, so we'll get into why that's that way in a little bit. Okay, so let me talk about why I chose two different size blades here for my 90. Okay, so first thing I did was figured out that I needed an 18. Well, that's what I always had. Okay, so an 18 comes out to about right there, right? 18 comes out to about right there. Don't mind the nasty dust on the truck as of now, because I'm working on it, so it's been sitting. Okay, so as you can see, we have all this room here. Well, good thing about having dust is you could track the windshield wiper movement. Okay, so I wiped them and seen where they ended up. So I come over here, and you're like, wow, that's a big gap. Okay, well, when it wipes up, look how close it is to the top. Okay, so given that, you come back over to this side, you have this much, but when you wipe up, you go all the way up to about right there. So I have a good inch up there. Well, when purchasing your windshield wipers, that extra inch, so these are 18s, so the 19s, you're only gonna gain half an inch here, and then the other half an inch here, because they're split the difference in the middle. Okay, so it's an inch total, but a half inch on each side. So that half inch is gonna cut this edge right here in half, so we'll get more coverage, but they'll also push it out a half inch up here, so I'll get more cleaning done in my window when it rains and stuff. Okay, so that's something to consider when purchasing it, and that's why also I wanted to let the window be all dirty so I could demonstrate that movement for you guys. I hope that was clear. If not, ask in the description below and I could clarify again. Okay, so I decided not to get two 18s, but I got a 19 as well. Okay, so the 18's going over here and the 19's going over here. Okay, so you ask, why is the 90 different from the 97? Well, it's this arm here, okay? So on the 97, it's slightly shorter, okay? So since it's a slightly shorter arm, it allows this blade to be a little bit longer to clean, because it's going to be brought back this way. Same thing for that side, it's going to be brought back this way. So if it's brought back this way, that shortens the motion on the arm, bringing it down here, allowing you to extend your wiper blade a little bit further. So this one runs 219s. Okay. Now, that being said, there's two styles of windshield wiper arms. There's this style, which I'll take apart and show you, but it has a little shaft right here. And then there's this style with the hook, okay? Function the same way. The only difference is how it pivots, okay? You want to watch out because some of the expensiver blades will only have one mounting option, the hook style, because that's the newer stuff. The older one will be like this, but it won't be as nice. So as you can see, you know, they got these covers on these. I believe this one does both. I'm not quite sure, I haven't taken it out. But as you can see a cover on these, and then these cheaper ones, or the older style, doesn't, because you have to accommodate for the hole right there, and then also on the end you accommodate for the hook. This one has two sizes of holes, okay? Certain cars take the smaller ones and certain ones take the big ones, so it doesn't matter because it covers both. So now that we got all that taken into consideration, there's more to it, okay? As you can see, these ones are just 18 and 19, and these say 21A and 21B, or 19B, okay? It doesn't have anything to do with the lengths. These are the same exact windshield wipers across the board, right? What A and B stands for is the curvature of the blade, okay? The older ones, I couldn't find any ones that had good reviews with the curve. Okay, so the B has a curve, the A is more flat. Okay, the B is basically, typically rule of thumb is the B is for the passenger side. Okay, and the reason for that is, as you can see, this window has a curve to it as it goes down the back side, and it flattens out and then it curves on the edges. While the driver's side tends to be more flat, so it doesn't need large curve. It gets taken up by the motion of these. So if you look right here, you see how these flex? It compensates for that, okay? While the curvature of the glass on the passenger side, it tends to be more drastic. So they aid it a little bit more, so that way you get 100% coverage when these blades touch the glass. So these current windshield wipers here are your standard ones, so they would be considered A, because the older vehicle does not have that option to choose A or B for the brand that I chose, which are the Michelins. Okay, and the reason for the curvature, as you can see this edge right here, it doesn't make contact all the way. So as you can see, it's lifted because this pressure point is back here, not pushing down on that edge. And that's part of the reason why I also extended it to a 19 to grab a ½ inch more, so that way that pressure point is pushed out here, and then the non-pressure point is way out here where the black film is, okay? And then also it would give me a little bit more coverage. All that, which blade should you choose? Which brand? Well, first things first is I would go and look at reviews, okay? I don't just basically buy the most expensive brand out there. What I ended up doing was looking on Amazon, looking at reviews, seeing what people say about them. Because I've had some pretty expensive windshield wiper blades that have torn, okay? They tell you they're all seasoned, this and that, and you get 40% longer life. All that is BS. Don't believe that. And the reason for that is because it's rubber. Okay, so this right here is rubber. And what tends to happen depending on your climate, okay, if you live in icy conditions, that will stiffen up. And of course they have snow style windshield wiper blades and all that jazz. But the bottom line is that rubber is soft because it needs to glide across your window and wick away that rain, okay? If it was hard, you'll get that chattering. So if you ever use your windshield wipers in the summertime, right? Because maybe you washed your car and you hit the windshield wipers, you'll notice they'll start chattering. It's because the heat on the rubber, so the constant sun pushing or reflecting off your window has dried this rubber out, making it hard. And when it's hard, it chatters as it makes its way across the windshield. So when they say all weather, this and that, you pay $40 a wiper blade, don't do that. That's wasting your money. Just buy every season, buy new windshield wiper blades. These ones, or this set right here, I had to purchase separately because I wanted the offset. Sometimes they'll offer like this one. When I entered my car, make and model and stuff, they recommended these as a set. These costed $40. These right here, they costed $30. I had to purchase these independently because they weren't set up for this vehicle. Okay, if I would have purchased them together, it would have gave me two 18s. So a lot has to do with also style. I paid $40 for these. I paid $30 for these. These Rain-X ones here are just as good. They don't have that beautiful cover on them, right? These cost me $10 each, and they function the same way. The only benefits to having a more expensive windshield wiper blade is how many pressure points are along this rubber edge to allow it to scrape across the windshield. No matter what, these serve their purpose, and since they're one season deal, there's no purpose in spending a lot of money unless you got a nice car and you want the look. So I opted out, you know, $20 more for this one because just the look, they look nicer, and then also their technology, having a beam across the top instead of those metal tabs will distribute the load of the wiper across the windshield evenly, so that's nicer. But I do have my Nissan Z that I'm putting these on, so a work truck doesn't matter, you know, it's still covering the same amount, it just doesn't look as fancy. The reason why I am replacing them now though is because the Z had some expensive ones on there from when I purchased it, and they tore, or not when I purchased it, but when I purchased the windshield wiper blades, they were like $50 at AutoZone. They mark them up, and I needed windshield wiper blades, and those were the only ones that they had in stock. Well, it beats me having to drive around and go search for some cheaper ones for about $10 less. It wastes my time, my gas, and the time that I need these. You know, it was already raining. But today, the rubber tore on one of mine, so I needed to replace them. Okay, I bought these on Amazon. So take Amazon's reviews with a grain of salt, like everything you should, and actually read through them thoroughly to see if the review actually makes sense. If they're talking about, oh, they're too expensive, disregard that. Look at how long the rubber lasts. Typically, you should get a season and maybe even a season and a half out of these, okay? But I like to change them every year just so I know there's new rubber on them. I mean, you could push them to 2 years or 2 seasons and then they start tearing. But I mean, I like to know that when I'm driving in the rain, I don't have no obstruction on my windshield, because that's dangerous for not only you, but other people around, okay? Your life is worth more than the 10 or 20 extra dollars you're gonna have to spend on some windshield wiper blades, okay? It's not worth it. Not worth it having to skimp on something that's that important. Just like tires. Don't skip on these cheap tires because they start chipping and stuff. You know, buy some decent quality ones at a you know, a cheap price. Don't buy the most expensive ones because it's not worth it unless you're tracking your vehicle which I mean most people don't, you know. So it doesn't make sense to spend all that extra money on some real grippy compound, and you know you're chunking it out because you're hitting, you know, these like little potholes in the freeway or whatever, because they don't upkeep the cement or the blacktop, whatever you're driving on. They don't upkeep it, you know, unless you're one of those guys that just want to spend money. Anyways, that's besides the point. So that basically briefly covers the whole concept on your windshield wipers and what you look for. I'll install these and show you up close on what I mean by the two different types, and let's show you what it looks like. Okay, so as you can see, there's different mounts that you get, of course, but your most common is already on here. Okay, so you have an area where you can put the hook in, okay, and then you have this area where you put the little stud in. Okay, so you flip it up for the stud, you slide it in, and then you clamp it down. For the hook, all you do is latch it over this and pull down on it, or push up on this until it clicks in. If you need to use the larger hole, let me see if I can get that in focus. If you need to use the larger hole, all you got to do is lift up on this, and you'll notice that there's a little cutout right there. All you do is push down on this windshield wiper blade, and it pushes out, and this whole piece will come off, and then you can flip it around. And the reason why you want to flip it around is so that way this lock could go, let me see if we can get that in front of you. So this lock can now lock into that in reverse. Okay, same thing if you're trying to snap on the other stuff. All you do is pop that out. Okay, when you're in doubt, always look at the back. I mean, there's full instructions, so anyone should be able to do this. If you can't do it, also people at AutoZone and stuff will help you out. So these Rain-X ones have a little bit different setup, or they're not Rain-X, they're Bosch, but they have Rain-X ones like this, same exact thing. I got those last year, I guess, but same exact concept. They have this little button here. You push down on that, and what that does is it opens up the hole in this plastic piece where this little stud is, and then you lift it straight up. Okay, if you put this shaft in this larger hole because you flipped it internally, what's going to end up happening is this is going to be loose in there, and you don't want that. You want it real stiff, and so you got to make sure that this size matches up perfectly with that hole size. If not, you're going to have to rotate that pin, and by doing that, all you do is push out. Let's see, you just push out on this little plastic deal, and this inner will pop out. You push out on the center hub, okay, and then it'll pop out like this. So as you can see, this is what it looks like, and then you flip it around and pop it back in, and now you could use the larger side. Okay, and the button I was mentioning is this one right here. So that little tab, so when you push it down, it opens up this little hole right here. This slot right here is what pivots on this pin, and this is what it looks like. So this went in there like this. If you want the larger one, you just flip it around, and it'll allow you to use the larger side. Okay, do is lift up on here, so you can see that I lifted up on this latch to open up this gap. I slide the this hole over this, so let me do that. So I slid it over just like that. I got to push down on this a little bit, and the reason for that is because it's getting hung up right here. So I got to push down on it a little bit, cam it out. So I need to cam it out this way, so that way it could allow it to seat a little bit, and then I can push it down in there like that, because this little edge or whatever you want to call it wouldn't let me push down on this or open this enough, so you have to rotate it down like that. It's a tight fit, but You push it down on there. This little dongle pops out. You push down this back side like that, and it locks it in. So it cams itself over that stud. And then bam, you have them on. You have your new set. Okay. Okay, so when I was talking about, remember that 18s, 19s, there's different ones. Well, the 18 was missing a part. So as you can see, I got this part in both kits. I did not get this part. Okay, I don't need this for my car. This is for another style, one of the hook styles that are smaller. They got different widths of those hooks. It's just different European ones. So for instance, right here, they'll show you. So it slides in with a little pin instead of an actual hook, but it's the same concept that latches onto there as its hook. And then this is the one I have on the truck right here with that. See how they got the different sizes? And then you could read all that stuff on the back of these, which is nice on the Michelin. On your Bosch, they typically have like what cars they're on. This one doesn't even say. The image that they showed online, it'll show the actual vehicles on the backside. So there's a lot of information here. Your windshield wipers is don't, when it's cammed up on the outside, so when you have it cammed out like this out here messing with this, you know, make sure when you take off this windshield wiper blade, this arm doesn't fly into your windshield because it can crack it. Also, these Michelin ones are just as cheap as these ones, these Bosch ones that I have. The only difference is they have a cover, and I'll show you that right here. So when I pull down on these, let's see if I could grip it. So when I pull down on it, you could actually see right there the little arm, the same arm as this one. And like I was saying, these ones only costed me $10, and these ones were $15 each. That's because they look nicer. No benefits to looking nice. So, like I suspected, this is a whole bunch of nonsense stuff. This one only takes the hook style, okay? But like I was suspected, it was this little Bosch thing slides out that way. You have a plastic piece, and then you have a sheet that this comes in. So a lot of the extra costs you're paying for how it's packaged. You know, they get you all hopped up on the looks and how, oh, icon, you know, 40% longer life. Only benefits to having this one is this backbone has no pressure points. It's one continuous hard rubber on this backside that will allow this edge to be placed firmly all the way across no matter what. Okay, but like I said, this one has a hook only option, whereas those have multiple options, and this one will not fit on this older vehicle. The hook, and it has this little hole right here. Okay, well, what that did was this piece right here was in here like this, okay, and then this little notch right here clipped into it like that. So you have to push up on this inside tab and pull it straight out. Okay, the issue when you leave these sit for about 2 seasons is they're hard to remove. Okay, so this is what it looked like, and this piece right here went into here like that. Okay, so these just basically went like this, pushed forward and clipped in. All right, so these ones, as you can see, starting to rip there. All right, so of course you lift that up, make sure that does not fall forward, because you'll have a bad day. And then you just take these new ones like this, slide it in there. Hold on, Let me take this. First, you got to pinch this front, lift up on this, and slide it in. So, like I said, it's hard to do it with one hand, but I'll try it anyway. So lift up on this, you slide it in like that, right? Cam this forward, straight into there, and let it clip like that. Once it clips, cam this down, locks it in place, and your windshield wiper is done. Okay. I believe these ones also could accept the flat. As you can see, there's a flat little slot right there. You just push it into. But yeah, that's how that goes in. And we'll do the other side. This one was kind of garbage. I mean, it doesn't have a beauty cover or nothing. It required a whole bunch of fadaddling with. I mean, I had to cam it up like that and push up on this tab and pull out. These might be Nissan brand. I don't remember. But yeah. So I push up on this prong and I pull down at the same time and wiggle it back and forth. Let's see if I can get this to go. So this little prong here, lift up on it. Once you lift up on it, push down, wiggle. You need to use two hands to push this down. All right, so that was basically a little tutorial on how to put your windshield wipers on, what to expect when looking for windshield wipers, and what the markings mean when you purchase these bad boys. If this video was helpful, definitely give it a thumbs up. Greatly appreciate that. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting all across my YouTube channel, definitely consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one.
Show me love and I'm more.